Hello. Hello. Please take your seats because we are starting. So hello everyone again. Welcome in STRV for our public event after a pretty long time because it's exceptional season, the COVID one, and we don't meet very often. So welcome and thank you for coming. This is also a special event because it's in collaboration with Ackee. Welcome people from Ackee. Originally, we were supposed to have 3 speakers, 2 from STRV, 1 from Ackee. Unfortunately, Rimishka strikes. So Jan Palto, my co-lead, is at home today because he feels sick and he didn't want to put us in danger with his Rimishka. And maybe COVID, but he got tested, so it's not COVID, we know. So at the end we have only 2 speakers, Lukas from Ackee and Filip from STRV. The first speaker, Lukas, will talk about CarPlay, and you maybe think that it's a niche topic, but actually you may use it. So I want to invite Lukas on stage, and without further ado, let's pass the word to him and let's have a CarPlay. Right, thank you.
Now, yes, now. So, hi, my name is Lukas, as Honza said, and today I'm gonna tell you something about my first experience with CarPlay. First of all, can you please raise a hand, someone who already tried something with CarPlay? 1, 2, 3. Maybe 4, I don't know. So not a lot of you, so I hope that you will enjoy this talk and maybe learn something new. Basically, my first experience with CarPlay started on February, I think, right before our last hackathon at Ackee. And I was thinking about that you are sitting in the car, you park the car somewhere, and for me, most of the time, I get out of the car and immediately forgot to pay the parking. So I was thinking, is there a way how to pay the parking right from the infotainment screen? It's possible. And yeah, we tried to create something like that. We teamed with MPLA, which is the biggest company in Prague responsible for parking. They liked our idea and they provided us their source code, and we built something on top of the source code. And you will see what it is. Slides. Thank you. So let's start. What's the CarPlay? CarPlay is basically this screen. It's infotainment. You can see there are some apps, some recently used apps, and it's basically only the screen. iPhone, it completely runs on the iPhone. Everything is on the iPhone. The screen is run on the iPhone. When you tap the app, it runs on the iPhone. The infotainment does nothing there. So if you create an app for CarPlay, it's basically it's another window for the app where you provide the UI, and our iPhone is responsible for anything else. Okay, first. If you'd like to start developing app for CarPlay, you need entitlements. They are provided by Apple, and you need to request them by some form or whatever. And it also contains some category. I will talk about that later. The category, there are 6 of them: audio communication, EV charging, navigation, parking, and quick food ordering, and that's it. If your app doesn't fall in one of those categories, you have no chance to get CarPlay in the App Store. It's basically by Apple some defined categories, which are, I think, really restricted, but yeah, we have to live with it. The CarPlay itself is very restricted, so yeah, you'll see that in a minute. The entitlements from the Apple, it's just a file. So the request takes some time, but you can fake it, and since it's on the plist, you can fake it, put it in the Xcode and use it. With the fake entitlement, you can run it on CarPlay simulator, but not on the real device. which is a shame, but CarPlay Simulator is really great one. The UI of the CarPlay is a set of predefined templates. It's very similar to DVML, but actually I have no experience in DVML, so there are no custom templates. You cannot customize it, you cannot override it, you just need to use it. And there is no user interaction. You cannot rely on touch input, you cannot rely on some gesture recognizers, nothing, just raw data in some templates. There are some 3 examples: list, information, and now playing. List is basically table view for CarPlay. Information is some key value pairs in column, and now playing is very easy. Some music is playing, you need to display the text, artwork, and some controls. If we zoom on the list template, you can see that it contains some list item, which is array of items, and from the initializer here, you can see that the only thing that you can provide it is text, detail text, image, accessory type, no font, no text color, nic. Just nothing, no customization whatsoever. Only data that will be there when it's initialized. Another really, I would say, awful thing is that you cannot use all templates, which is on the left column, with every category. Basically, the category you choose at the beginning defines which templates you can use. For example, if you use navigation app, which is this column, you can use the map template as the only category. And if you choose the audio app, you can use now playing. There are something like search, which is only available also in the navigation. Basically, maybe some, I would say, security reason not to distract the driver from driving. Okay, so you know the basics, how it's done, and let's dive in our app. I would like to start with, here I could show you live demo, because the app is finished and it's running, but it's not possible to build it in Xcode 13 for some reason, I don't know why. If you try to Google it or use some Stack Overflow, you will find nothing, so no live demo, I'm sorry, but it's Apple fault. And our app, it was some parking app, since it was for MPLA, you should park it, so parking was the first category we choose, and try to build something on top of it. The entry point is point of interest template, which looks something like that. It has full screen map, then some list of buoys and some markers on the map. If you know how parking zones are managed in Prague, you know that these pins are not the greatest way how to display the zones. You need like polygons and really polygons, let's say, and you need to choose really correctly which one you are in, because when there are a lot of buildings, the GPS signal is not correct. You can be in, the GPS can put you in different location than you are in, so you need to choose something. And the pins are not the greatest way. Also, you cannot customize it. You just give their location, some description, and that's it. So no customization, as I said it earlier. So this template was not for us because we cannot use it correctly. The user experience was really hard, really bad. And so we went back and choose the navigation, because that's the only one that has map template, which we would like to use because we want to display the parking zones as a polygons. The result is something like this. It is this. You can see there are polygons as the parking zones. You can see that is Google Map, actually, which is not that weird, because the map template is the only one when you can create or display something using UIKit. And that's because there are many providers that you can use different map styles. For example, Waze uses a completely different map. Google Maps are completely different, and also you can use the map kit from Apple. One another challenge for us was that there is no user interaction. You cannot tap on any of the parking zones and select that you would like to park there. So we need to show the user some kind of information about the zone, which zone it is. So we had to add these identifiers of the parking zone there. And then we display a list because you cannot choose which one, and basically by remembering the identifier of the zone, you can then select the parking zone from this list, which is ordered by the distance from the current location. We will, at this point, we were so happy that we have something working, and we skip to the very end, which is this paying screen, summary screen. You can pay there. And the app was really functional, so this button really creates or buys you the parking ticket for that particular parking zone. And then, or not then, it's not really then, but the review was really something incredible, I would say. It took very long time for Apple to answer the request form from us. I think it was like maybe a month after the request form for the entitlements at the very beginning. And then we got something like, you are not navigation app, so you cannot use the navigation category from your app. And we were like, okay, but we would like to use the map. Then 2 months later, Apple got another response to us. And the whole process was so annoying. It took many hours. We waited, for three months to get some response from the Apple. And basically, when you ping them, like every week, hey, what's new on this request or whatsoever, no one will talk to you. It's just in the void. To show you, to demonstrate you some of those. I will say one discussion with the Apple, how hard it is to get the app to the App Store for CarPlay, is that there must be some, that was our question, there must be some rules or processes being followed to decide whether app will or will not be chosen. And the response we got is that that information is not public, and this information is reviewed only by our internal team. That means that there are no guidelines, public guidelines for developers, how to create CarPlay app and what we should do in the app to successfully go through the review process. There are 2 tweets saying basically the same. I like this one that says that Apple rejected the request and said nothing. Basically, they're just waiting for some review, they waited for some response and they got nothing, and Apple just rejected the entitlements request, and that's it. So even worse than us. So what you should take from this talk? If you'd like to create CarPlay app, be brave, be patient, and enjoy it. For me, it was really great experience. It was new technology, new approach. Yeah, we learned something new, and we also learned that CarPlay is not something we will do on a daily basis because it's really hard to get it right and get it through the Apple. Okay, that's everything from me. Thank you for your attention, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I have a question.
Okay.
So you were able to release it at the end?
No, we didn't get the entitlements, so no, we even didn't get to the App Store review. We don't know how it's gone. So at the very beginning, Apple stopped us from doing the app. Yes.
So what does the pay button do? Does it send an SMS or? You said that it was working.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know the exact implementation in the MPLA app, but I think it does some requests to the MPLA API, and then using their card, which is like virtual card, I don't know, then it does the request and does the payment, and you will receive the payment ticket. Oh, sorry, parking ticket. It's up to them, MPLA. It's not on our side. Yes.
Do you have an experience with Apple Pay, and can you compare the experiences?
I don't know what you mean by experience with Apple Pay. My experience with Apple Pay is only on theoretical level, so no, I don't have any practical experience. Okay.
You said that the user interaction is not allowed. What about it?
Yeah, I can go back. Here, you can see that voice control is only available in the navigation app. So nothing. Okay, if that's all, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lukas. Well, we don't want to lose the momentum, so we will continue right away with the second talk. If you need to use the bathroom or you feel like, please do it while I'm speaking right now with this internet. So I will talk for some time so you can go. I'm just kidding. In my introduction, I forgot to mention one thing, and I'm glad that Luka didn't mention it. We are hiring, so if you feel like joining STRV, let's talk later. Second talk. Filip, our iOS engineer, will talk about pair programming. It is something that you might heard of, and now you will learn what's good about it, or maybe a downside of it, but that's up to Filip to some extent.
Thank you for this wonderful introduction. As already mentioned, I'm Filip, and I was an engineer here at STRV, and I'm gonna talk about pair programming, how you can do it, how you should do it. So first, let's say a few words about me. Not all of you know me. So I was an engineer here at STRV with 10 years of iOS experience. Personally created, but took part at least 11 apps that made it into production. From few fields like accommodation, e-commerce, automotive, and because I already do it for 10 years, I started with Objective-C in the dark ages, and continued with Swift, and working with Combine. If you want, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, but there are no links here, so you have to look for me. So yeah, what am I going to talk about this evening? First, I'm going to start with programming and some introduction, what it really is. Then I'm going to talk about what do you need for it, how you can start, and yeah, how to actually do it, what are the pros and cons of this approach. And at the end, I'm going to share some secret tips. So what is actually pair programming? Basically, it's just two or more people staring at code and thinking together. Yeah, you can brainstorm ideas and yeah, move your project forward or move your speaking skills forward. In pair programming, there is a driver who's gonna write the code or come up with ideas, and then there is an observer who is observing and commenting on everything. So what do you actually need to start with pair programming? It's not really a step-by-step process. There are some guidelines, some sites that mention pair programming from their own point of view, but you should prepare those 4 things to actually start. So what you need is actually a computer, so you can write some code. And it's ideal to have a computer for each person, or at least a screen, because you can all stare at one screen, but it's better if you have your own and can look at it in privacy. Then you need to set up screen sharing, because sometimes you actually need to provide some notes on the code, on the ideas, and you need to see what the other one is, what the driver is typing. Preferably, you should have some comfortable seats, because you're going to be sitting and talking for some time. Yeah, if you are tired in 2 minutes after sitting, it's not really that good. What else do you need is drinks. It's better to have non-alcoholic drinks, because coding when drunk is not that good. It leads to a lot of mistakes. You probably do a lot of reworking. But as I mentioned, you're gonna be talking a lot, so you might wanna have a drink from now and then. From this, let's move to how to do pair programming. Yeah, so actually, how does it work? And how to do it. So first, you're gonna need to decide who's the driver and who's the observer. Those roles are actually switching from time to time. But someone has to start typing and making ideas. The next step to start pair programming is to enable screen sharing. It's already mentioned. You need to see what's happening, and connect via screen sharing. Or you can actually use another tool. There's no one tool for this process, but screen sharing is quite proven and tested, and it's provided by Apple. So the next thing is you should switch roles after some time, because talking for 15, 20, 30 minutes is quite tiring, and you need to switch and bring new ideas to the topic you are actually programming. So what's the driver role? It's easy. It's the one who's writing the code. You don't need that much. You just need to write the code, think about it. It's good to actually describe your process, how you are writing the code, what you are thinking about, and share with the other person or multiple persons what's your process, so it can be commented on or changed. And the main role of the driver is to keep observers entertained. So not a bad idea to throw a joke into your coding. So there was a driver. Now there is an observer. Observer's role is to observe everything, think and comment. It's good to listen carefully, because the idea of pair programming is to really hammer out your code, really catch all the bugs, and provide some constructive feedback. So, yeah, the observer should examine driver's code with a magnifying glass and see everything and think. So from this, let's move to why pair programming is good. There are a lot of cons, sorry, a lot of pros to pair programming. They are quite huge. So what are they? First of all, you can make decisions as a team before you write any code, or before you reach the code review stage. So this way you can actually save some time, even though you have multiple people working on just one thing, but you can save time later, and you don't have to rewrite code if it's really bad. Second, know-how and responsibilities are shared in the team. It's important because with just code review, you can miss some things. Some assumptions were made when writing the code, but this way you can you actually know what the author was thinking about, and if they, for example, leave the team and you need to take over, you just know. Quite important point, quite important advantage to pair programming is that you practice communication. If you do it regularly with your team or with anyone else, you learn how to talk about your code, how to explain your ideas, your approaches, and yeah, it's easier when you are, for example, facing interview with your client, and they need you to explain something to them. The last point is that it actually saves code review time. As I already mentioned, you are writing the codes together, and by writing it together, you then don't have to return it with so many change requests. Or, for example, if you identify early that some architectural decision or some structure is not fit for the project, you can just rewrite it in the beginning, because it's not that easy to return and say that everything needs to be changed when it's code review time. So, what are actually some cons of pair programming? There is not many of them, but it should definitely be said. First of all, as I already mentioned, the team is spending all the time, or everyone is spending time on just one thing. So if you do 1 hour of pair programming per week, you actually spend 1 hour of each team member, and they cannot push features so heavily. And the second thing is that it actually requires some preparation, because you cannot just go and say, hey, let's do pair programming. You have to think about what are you gonna discuss, what needs to be decided, and yeah, write some code maybe in advance, so that you are not hung up on writing boilerplate code and creating structs. So the main question is when to actually do pair programming, and it's quite easy. You should do it whenever possible, whenever you have some decisions to make, whenever you have to think about complicated piece of code, make some decisions, and when you want to make the decisions together actually, so that you don't have to explain it later or redesign your code, your architecture when it's going through code review or facing some QA testing. Yeah, as I already mentioned, you should do it when some decisions are needed, something that's long impact, that has long impact on your code, on your project, and you should actually do it when you want to or know that you will be having some interview with the client or some potential someone who potentially may hire you. Yeah, it's also possible to pair program when you are a team of one, when you are just one engineer. But yeah, you can think outside the box. You can ask someone from another team who's familiar with your platform, or even who's not that familiar with your platform, but can provide some insight into how it can be structured, what may be the assumptions on another platforms, and also you can ask your QA. They are going to be testing it. They maybe have some assumptions about how it should work. So if you hammer out those differences early, you save on returning tickets, on another code review, on another round of fixing. So it's quite good to do pair programming with your QA or even with the UX or UI designer, because they were designing it, they had something in mind, and they are best suited to tell you how it should behave, or what should be the flow, what should happen. If you don't have those, maybe you are designing your app yourself, or you have just your PM. Maybe you can ask just them, so they can provide their opinion and how they would structure a flow or something. If you really don't have anyone, you can even ask your client, because they are the ones that want the app, that have also some assumptions how they wanted the app to look, so they can also provide you with some insights. And yeah, so let's move to a bonus. So let's have a few words about mob programming. That's when you have a big team, when you cannot decide who's the one who should do. Sorry, that was not intended. When you cannot decide on who's gonna be pair programming with you, you can just go and ask everyone, because yeah, maybe 4 eyes just are not enough. But it's actually good for figuring out new approaches to new things. For example, here in STRV, we were recently kind of more programming on Swift concurrency, the new approach to concurrent programming, and yeah, it was quite nice. Everyone was providing their own point of view, and yeah, everyone learned a lot. And as I said, if you have big team and you need to share the knowledge, share the know-how, it's nice to show everyone how you thought of your code, how you structured it, so everyone can just replace you. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you for your thank you for your attention. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So, do you have any questions? Yeah.
How often do you use pair programming? I want to do
All right, that's a question I get quite a lot. I try to push it a little bit, not that much, but there are projects we were pushing pair programming to do at least once a week. So that's why I fell in love with this concept.
Do you have any numbers, like comparison cheaper, or do you have less bugs or any statistics?
I'm not that number oriented. No, I don't actually have metrics to measure this. But it was from my point of view, actually, yeah, helping. We had fewer returning code reviews, and we were having a junior developer on our project, and it was helping a lot.
Understand those pros which are not expressed simply by numbers, which is mentoring other guys and the things you mentioned, but so we don't have numbers like how much money it costs or something like that.
Not really, no. It's just
write more.
But more that you can save some time with catching bugs, and maybe it can become cheaper after all.
I think it should. All right, thank you. Here you can read something about STRV. And yeah, let's say it again. We are hiring. So if you want to join us, wonderful collective, you should.
Thank you very much, Filip. Unfortunately, as I mentioned in the beginning, that's it. It was pretty fast because we lost one speaker. But the upside is that now you can use the time before the pizza arrives for networking. And we had a lack of networking recently because of the corona. So please use the time, talk to your colleagues, and learn something new from the chit-chat you can have. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Lukas and Filip, and have a nice evening.